Okay, so over time, a few people have said, hey, Andrew, you need to smile a little bit more. Don't be so dark and dull and that mysterious, creepy tone. Oh, I'm sorry, that's my shirt. Yeah, this is my face. Sorry, got confused there. But today, what we're going to be doing, whilst I adjust this fucking camera, is welcome to the chat if you're currently here, okay? As said, you can leave your thoughts, comments, opinions, and responses to what I'm going to share with you today. You could talk about other things as well. So as you can see by the title, I guess arguably some new developments or new things coming forwards, what we haven't seen beforehand. And it's to do with Candice Cooley having contact with Box Elder County, one of the sheriffs, face-to-face meeting, okay? That's something that hasn't happened that often, okay? As Candice said in previous interviews, there's just not been like any proper phone calls, email replies, face-to-face meetings. That's all been lacking. You had the odd little video call, video chat, Zoom meeting, but I wouldn't say that's exactly practical enough, is it? So what I'm going to share with you now is a Facebook post on the Find Dylan Rounds page, and there's a few pictures and some information to read out. So I'm going to share that with you. And then what we're going to do, because people did say, oh, you should look back at certain things. That's what I'm going to do later on in this video. So make sure to stick around for that. I'm going to be reading some like official reports or documents by Box Elder County just to read over to see, does anything stand out? Is there any contradictions, any lies, anything interesting, key dates, timelines to fill in any blanks along the way? And you can leave your thoughts as we go along with that. But as said, let's first take a look at what Candice has shared in very recent time. Okay, so we're on the Find Dylan Rounds Facebook page, and as you see on screen, we've already seen that before, but when scrolling down, look what shows up. Candice Cooley left a post 13 hours ago, so not that long. You got some photos there, which we will take a look at shortly, but let's just read the transcript. So it says, here was my first contact with Sheriff Potter as his wife, Jackie Potter, proceeded to tell me information on Dylan's case that I didn't know of. She also lectured me about the negative Facebook post towards Box Elder County. Link provided there. We will look into that shortly. You decide from the pictures. We are not looking for a political stance nor attacking anyone. This is how the whole department has treated Dylan's case. This picture is just one example of what we have been going through. We, as a family, just want to see Dylan's case finally move forwards. We are so much including recorded phone conversations to release if we need to. Let's take a look at these photos if possible. Can I zoom in maybe? Okay. So it's kind of hard to tell who is who here. Is there like two males, one female maybe? I don't know who took that photo. Maybe someone will have to explain it, but there appears to be a guy there in the brown shirt on the left-hand side with a baseball cap. And then to the right, some person with a ponytail, could be a woman in a greyish white top. And then behind seems to be another individual. Can't quite make them out. One of them must be Candice, because she was talking about how the two were talking to her and lecturing her about stuff. So I guess the guy on the left must be the sheriff, and then the one on the right must be the wife of the sheriff. Is there any other slides to look at? Okay, so you look at that one. I wish that fucking bar would disappear. Okay, so I think the individual in the background is Candice. You can see like a baseball cap, and she's wearing jeans. The one in front of her in that bluish coloured top, the back facing us, must be the wife of the sheriff, Sheriff Potter, on the left-hand side who you see here. Okay, does that make sense? Candice is hidden behind, then the wife is there of the sheriff, and the sheriff is stood there. I don't know if he's holding a gun, that sheriff. It looks like there's something sticking out by the side of his hand. Can't quite make it out, but yeah. Maybe it was Justin Rounds who took the photo, or maybe it was the new husband of Candice. And why did they pull her aside? You know, is this like a demonstration, an example of like when the police, Box Elder County, separated the two, Justin and Candice, when they were telling them information about the boots and other stuff within the case? Is this like a demonstration of it here? Makes you wonder. Any more images? Oh, there's another one there of a different angle, as you can see. You can see the surrounding area as well, how it just looks so desolate, empty and dry and flat. Do we have the transcript down below? No, we don't. That's unfortunate. Let's just see if there's any comments. Okay, so in a separate post, you've got a comment there saying, personally, I think they know more than they are telling you all. Now, that could well be the case. Maybe they're holding back key information because they don't want to expose it. They don't want to make any more slip-ups as they've already done so. Maybe. Or is it because they are dodgy themselves? They don't want to expose themselves, put them in trouble, or the criminals they might be assisting or have done in the past. You know, if you're interested in that type of talk and those deep, deep theories, make sure to check out my previous video, my last one I uploaded, because I did, you know, raise quite a few key questions with the police and possible outcomes and theories to why they're gatekeeping the case, okay? Now, a few more comments are said on this post. Obviously, there's about 217 comments, but I can't show them to you because I don't have a Facebook account. But if you want to check yourself, feel free to do so. If you see any additional information or anything that stands out, odd, strange, interesting, feel free to drop a comment down below. Let's just take a brief look at this. Janet said, Jackie Potter shouldn't even be in the equation. How many law officers take their wives to speak for them? This is infuriating, very unprofessional. That's true, yeah. And then down below, recent comment. Just click that. Buffy, says, my observation is Box Elder was way too involved in parades and re-election of Potter's seat as sheriff. Their entire Facebook page during the month of June/July was all about the parades and Kevin Potter for sheriff for a safe community. If they released on Dylan's case the minute the call came in, instead of rounding up a dozen horses to show off the entire deputy at parades, maybe they would have had something more. 2, I don't think they give a crap what happens out there. They don't want to deal with all the squatter, drugs, robberies, etc. They hope these people take care of things themselves so they don't have to make the drive out. So unprofessional for a sheriff's wife to inset her input and privy info to the parents. They were never given a victim's advocate, only this wife, a retired officer who should have nothing to do with what her husband is involved in at work. With the way this is turning out and nothing being done, treating the parents like they are the suspects makes one think that there are personal connections within some of the shady characters living out there that way for them to turn a blind eye. That's exactly what I said in my previous video and before that. Additionally, she ends up saying, I have noticed they disabled any commenting on their Facebook page, which indicates they know they effed up and refused to admit and give to another authority. Someone needs to start checking all those quick claim deeds being done over the last few years. Follow the trail. I have never seen such an ass backwards lazy sheriff's deputy before. Shameful. Time to take a big dump on Bucks Elder County's front step and let the entire country know how they roll in their little community. Just find Dylan and get the guilty ones, yes I say multiple people, behind bars. So that is what Buffy had to say, and a few of those points are pretty valid and what I said myself. Is there anything else going on? This person says, I find this incredibly difficult to comprehend as to how a young adult can go missing under what appears to be extremely suspicious circumstances, leaving the parents battling to get law enforcement to be proactive and take it seriously. It is totally atrocious. They would get more attention if they robbed a bank or were caught dealing. This is a young man who needs to be found, period. So you get the idea. What's this? Moving him over 400... Okay, let's just see this last one. Dawn replied saying, moving him over 400 miles from home to live in a remote area with no electricity or running water in his camper. Neighbours are shady at best, and if he wanted to shower or have something to eat, the kids' options were the Saddle Saw Bar or the Cowboy Bar and Grill. He was 16 when he got his property. Why move him so far away to a place where it's so easy to disappear? I feel for the family more than you know. And then you end up sharing their own experience. Now, this is an interesting thing. The reason why I say it is this individual called Dawn has had a negative experience herself, obviously as said on there. And yet the post remains on screen. It's not been taken down. You might be wondering, what the hell are you on about, Andrew? It's common sense to why you would keep it up, because they're showing support, they're sharing their opinion, they may know the family, etc., etc. But what about the time when that viewer on my channel, I forgot their name, apologies for that, who reached out to Candice Cooley and said, I'm sorry to hear what you're going through. I myself have lost someone in the past, and she got blocked. So are we seeing double standards all of a sudden? Feel free to leave your thoughts down below. So, interesting what we saw just there. Now, as I said, when it comes to language and wording, I do look into that. And a question I want to put forwards is, although this post is very recent and up to date, the way it was worded by Candice was my first contact with the Sheriff Potter. Now, when she says my first contact with the sheriff, does she mean first contact in a long time since when they first met, which was way back at the beginning? Or do they mean this was the first time I met Sheriff Potter, which is way back then, a photo taken back then, and they've only just released it now on Facebook? Or do they mean first contact with Sheriff Potter as of a few days ago? Do you see what I mean? Is it reflecting back of what happened back then, or is it what's happened right now? Leave your thoughts in the chat, because sometimes it gets a bit confusing the way it's worded. But one thing that isn't confusing is the fact that there's two people there on one. 2 on 1. Could you argue, because Candice said give your own opinions. So in terms of body language, Candice is stood there casually, but she is surrounded by 2 people. Why does there need to be 2 people? Wouldn't it be more personal if it was a one-on-one? What does the wife of the sheriff have to do with the Dylan Rounds case? Okay, she might be a retired officer, originally worked for Box Elder County, but you're no longer working actively for them. So why are you getting your nose into this case, giving your thoughts? You know, you've not been assigned to it personally. The husband maybe, but not you yourself. So why did she turn up? And from the way it was worded in other comments, it was as if it was the wife who was giving it all and the sheriff was just stood back. Because when you look at body language, you know, the way they are stood on both sides like pillars overlooking Candice, who is just there encased and covered by the two figures, because you couldn't see Candice that clearly. Could you argue, is there a level of intimidation, a 2-on-1 situation? Could you argue their stance wasn't or could have revealed something about them? Leave your thoughts in the chat. I'll give you my concept of it. The way the two are stood, you know, they don't seem to have their arms crossed like that, as you saw with Justin Rounds in that interview by East Idaho News. In fact, the two, well, the sheriff and the wife were just stood there kind of casually with their arms by the side of them or around the back of them. So they're not standing formally, looks casual. You could throw in not professional, because like when it comes to certain roles and situations, aside from the environment of this one, you know, you might have to have good posture, hands by your side, shirt tucked in, you know, that type of procedure. Whereas if you're in an informal setting, you know, you might have the odd button undone, not too far down though. And then, you know, you might be leaning on one side of your hip, hand on the hips. You know, no, we're not getting sassy now. No, I know the chat can at times. Shh. But you see what I mean? In this case, you've got a professional, a person of authority who has a stance of casualness, kind of unprofessional. I know people could say you're reading too far into that, but what you need to look back on is how they have dealt with the Dylan Rounds case, and haven't dealt with it that well or treated the family with how they should do. So you can look at body language because it does tie on to how they actually act, how they appear, their behaviour, their body language, maybe their voice, their tone of language from what Candice heard and saw, could all tie in with that whole concept of unprofessionalism. I think that's a word. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, just a simple fact with the wife, what it seems like it's turning into is, it seems to be getting personal. You know, when you get that personal drama, you know, as a microcosm, we're seeing it within the Dylan Rounds community on YouTube, certain YouTubers having a go at one another, some being exposed, others being called out, face-to-face arguments, call-ins, or just pre-recorded videos, whatever. We've seen it all, and it'll probably continue. And that's on a personal level. There's kind of like motives behind them. And people can say, oh, that's so silly, that's so stupid. But once again, it's not just the YouTubers to blame. People always seem to go after YouTubers, just like when it came to the misinformation. And yet the main people causing the misinformation at the time, when not fully understanding the situation, was the Dylan Rounds family, Candice Cooley, with the whole key fob, which then turned out to be the police, Box Elder County's fault for the misinformation, lack of transparency and communication. So that filtered through to the YouTubers and other platforms and people on them, who then relayed that information, and then they were criticised and seen as the ones to blame. But they weren't the causation or the catalyst at the beginning. It was Box Elder County. And just like with the drama, whilst you can criticise YouTubers for doing all this unnecessary stuff, look, you're now seeing it with Box Elder County. Once again, you're seeing it within deeper authority, more important people. People say it's, oh, all this is petty, blah, blah, blah. Look what's happening on the inside. Same exact thing. From the looks of it, sheriff's wife coming in, lecturing Candice. So bit of bitchiness probably going on. I'm not an expert with that because I don't really come across it much, but then maybe I'll learn when things go on in the chat section on some of my videos, but never mind. But yeah, with the wife, lecturing Candice, you can imagine the tone of voice, words used, talking down, saying, this is unacceptable, this is not right, etc., etc. So it's like, it must be personal for the wife to come in, or the sheriff. The wife is being defensive, which is, a response. She's with her husband. Husband just happens to be working for Box Elder County. So Box Elder County is criticised. If the sheriff was criticised at some point, she will step in and support him. It's all natural. It all makes sense. That's what happens when you care about someone or something. But it's been misunderstood and unnecessary in this case because the real case is finding Dylan and not all this, bitchiness going on the sideline by the authority and certain family members, let's say. So yeah, there is that. And in addition, linking on, in terms of like the Facebook post, maybe calling out Box Elder County, it wasn't that bad. From what I've seen on Find Dylan Round's page on Facebook, there hasn't been that much negativity or nastiness or illegal stuff going on in response to Box Elder County. So I don't know what that sheriff's wife is on about. You could argue it's on YouTube where all the criticism is at. What you see. Look at some of my videos, what I've done, where I said, could Box Elder County be dodgy because of this, because of that, all the different theories. Key thing is with me though, the language I use. I'm not saying they are dodgy. Nope, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, is there a possibility that they could be? Is there a reason to explain why they might be doing this for other reasons, or why they're doing this, which has been misunderstood for other reasons? But you'll see on YouTube and the comment section what other people have done and how they think of Box Elder County. Some people are defensive of the police because they might just be in general support of the police in general situations because of the US and how things have gone over time with all those bandwagons and stuff going downhill in response to the police. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that makes sense. But then, there's a fair few people criticising the police. So if that sheriff's wife wants to start arguing, come over to YouTube right now. Then you can all communicate and have a great time. Well, maybe not to some people. There'll probably be a few fireworks going off. Wait, is that the correct word? Don't you normally say fireworks going off when two people are... Oh, I don't know. I might have misinterpreted that. But yeah, so that summarises that part of the video. As I said, leave your thoughts in the chat, in the comment section. What do you think? Now what we're going to do, and it actually links on to what you saw, that link within Candice Cooley post, and that link is to the official Facebook page of Box Elder County, and I've not actually shared that with you yet. I know some of you might have already been on the site, on their page, but I'm just going to go on it myself. I'm going to read back over certain posts. I think they might have been in June or July, but let's look at it, see if it fill in any blanks or if it just reveals any dodginess, okay? Okay, so this is one of the first ones I came across on their page. There's like a little brief missing person profile report of Dylan below that, but that's a bit outdated. This one seems to be a press release, and this was 15th of June. Now, I'll read it out, we'll see how it goes. It's a bit dodgy, the zoom on this, so I don't know if I can read it out clearly. Hopefully you can read that. If not, I'll read it out myself. So it starts, date 6 of the 15th, 2022. Incident, Dylan Rounds, missing person / criminal investigation update. Box Elder County Sheriff's Office is making continual efforts to locate Dylan Rounds and to investigate the circumstances surrounding his disappearance. This is an active law enforcement missing person criminal investigation. Only updates that do not have the potential to compromise the investigation will be released. As we know, the key fob that did compromise the investigation, it shouldn't have been released. So does that mean the whole case is compromised, or that bit of evidence can't be used? Let me know your thoughts, okay? Good how it's being treated as a criminal investigation, so that's the slant, the way it seems to be treated as. I know people at a point in time were confused and wondering, what was it classified as? Well, there you go on screen. But then again, you never know, things might switch and change. Let's continue reading. Box Elder County volunteer teams have logged over 300 hours searching, covering over 3,000 miles, not including the hours and miles travelled to and from the remote search areas. Box Elder County Sheriff's Office detectives and deputies have also been searching around the clock, weekdays and weekends. So far, detectives have spent over 650 hours investigating this case. These numbers continue to increase daily and do not include the time and resources contributed by assisting law enforcement agencies and search teams. Well, that's interesting. The way they're wording it seems like it's been a Herculean task, and the amount of support and assistance they've given has been a lot. The way they've worded it, mentioning all the stats to really reinforce it. But is that true? When you read this, does it link to the amount of effort and success in recent time to what Candice Cooley has said with her experience of how they've handled the case, Box Elder County? Seems like two big contrasting themes, right? Box Elder County believe they're doing a good job, at least back then in June. And yet, from what we've heard of in recent time, it's been quite the opposite. Let's continue reading. This investigation has been and continues to be a coordinated effort that has involved multiple agencies, groups, and people, including Box Elder County Sheriff's Office, Box Elder County Search and Rescue, Box Elder County Horse Posse, Elko County Sheriff's Office, Nevada, Weber County Search and Rescue, who Candice did praise when it came to communication about public searches and stuff, okay? Who else? Utah Department of Public Safety Aero Bureau, Utah Search Dogs, Rigby Police Department, Bonneville County Sheriff's Office, Ogden Police Department, Davis County Sheriff's Office, FBI, Search and Rescue Canines of Idaho, Texas EquiSearch, and the many other friends and family and volunteers. We are so grateful for all the support. We continue to ask for additional assistance and resources as needed. As said, the way they've worded it is, all help is welcomed. And yet maybe there might have been a bit defensive when it came to certain areas being investigated and explored by hikers and searchers, explorers. The bit where it says additional assistance, resources are needed, and we ask for that. Well, the way they worded it earlier, they said that, we put lots of time and effort doing all the researching, investigating, exploring, looking for Dylan. And then, like, with recent times, certain commenters on YouTube saying that, the way they've handled the case, they've done nothing. It's all been because of the general public tipping off, giving tips, giving, clues, hints, suggestions, areas to look at. And they're just basically the authority to allow it to happen, or to allow themselves to go there and continue that process of investigation. So I guess it depends how you read and interpret it. And lastly, it says, if you have knowledge regarding the circumstances surrounding Dylan, here's the phone. Okay, so it's just, okay. Released by Chief Deputy Cade Palmer. So this is a press release. Now, was this what people were talking about, how they said it was lacking with the Dylan Rounds case, or they talk about a press conference? because it's kind of like different things. This is just like a formal statement released by the press or to the press, to the general public. Press conference is one of those like interviews where they stand there behind a desk and then talk and do all that. But yeah, maybe you've seen this before. I just wanted to share it with you for those who might have not come across it. Now, some, other stuff going on. Let's read this one. 7th of July. The law enforcement investigation into the disappearance of Dylan Rounds is ongoing. Law enforcement continues to be in the Lucerne area. At this time, there are no organised searches planned for members of the public to participate. That basically means this is way back then, because then Weber County or Weber someone came in, contacted Candice, had a talk, and then that's when they said, green light, go ahead, public search, even though it didn't go to plan after that. Okay. Authorised by law enforcement. We are asking the public to not search in the area, as it has the potential to compromise the investigation. It's all right saying that, but obviously, Candice has been there herself before that and may have compromised certain, evidence. Let's not forget that. But then also the way Box Elder County have handled certain evidence themselves, like the boots, just chucking them on the back of the truck, like, oh, doesn't mean much, never mind, even though there was blood on them, delaying them to be sent to the lab, lying about other things in between as well, from what Candice said when it came to the lab results and the timing of it and when it actually happened. Important evidence, and even they couldn't, it won't surprise me if a general public, providing it's the right type of person who was within the area exploring, came across those boots and were like, damn, we need to report them, we need to send them somewhere. They'd probably be more successful sending them to a lab than the actual police themselves. Let's see if there's anything else up here. Okay, here's one. 7th of July, Box Elder County Sheriff's Office, Federal Bureau, joint press release. Okay. Date 7th of the 7th, 2022. Incident, Dylan Rounds, missing person, criminal investigation update. During the course of this investigation, multiple persons have been interviewed by Box Elder County Sheriff's Office, the FBI, and other assisting agencies, such as Don Hatley being interviewed by an FBI agent. Multiple arrests have been made for unrelated warrants and crimes that have been discovered during this process, such as Chase Venstra, owning firearms when he's a felon. Jim, also known as James Brenner, same related crime. So that's what they mean there. Anybody else? Not quite sure of at this moment in time. Continues to say, when Dylan Rounds was not located early on in the search effort, the investigation focused on the possibility of Dylan being the victim of a crime. The current totality of information gathered from the many interviews and searches, along with the analysis of both physical evidence and forensic data, has identified James Brenner as a suspect. Brenner is currently being held in the Weber County Jail on unrelated federal firearm charges. No criminal charges have been filed specifically regarding the Dylan Rounds case. This investigation is not complete and remains active. Law enforcement investigators are continuing to work to locate Dylan and find answers. At this time, no further information or comment related to this criminal investigation will be released. Okay? One thing to take in mind, obviously, if you haven't checked the date out already, this was the 7th of July. So things might have changed since. I haven't myself, but some of you would have seen those court documents, the polygraph test, the receipts, the data of all that regarding Jim Brenner in recent times. So don't get confused by this on screen. This is what it was back then. So progression has been made to an extent. But if you notice anything that's odd, that stands out, doesn't make sense, contradicts a future claim or a present one on screen right now, feel free to leave a comment, okay? Okay, so there's some other stuff going on here. Look, this is the whole parade thing, you know, the people with the on the horses, the posse and stuff. That's what was it Jane from earlier in the comment section was referring to, how a lot of the posts and photos were more about celebration and welcoming, like the sheriffs and stuff, as you can see on that. And it's like there are more important things going on than a little horsey time get together, you know. There's a video there. Oh, look at their lassos. Come on, boy. And I'm going to turn into a cowboy all of a sudden. Okay, but you get the idea. What's that? Okay. That's unrelated. Some person crashed. I'm going slow because if I go too fast, it refreshes the page and then it just all fucks up. There's a fire there. Let's just take a look at this. Okay. 3 days ago, fairly recent, on the 9th of the 4th, 2022, at 10:12 hours, the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office, Park Valley Fire Department, Snowville Fire Department, and Box Elder County Fire responded to a house fire in Park Valley, Utah. When they arrived on scene, there were visible flames coming from the home. The resident who rents the house was not home, and there were no injuries. The fire is still under investigation, but is believed to be caused by faulty wiring in the attic. The house is a total loss. There is not a dollar amount of damages available at this time. So, kind of interesting. 3 days ago, I think within that time frame, I did actually look at Park Valley, if you remember. If you haven't, make sure to check that video out. It's not available on my channel. When I was looking at the Chop Shop, Park Valley, and Wendover map analysis back in time, showing you what it looked like then, back then and now, or kind of up to date at least, because it's 2019. You get the idea. And yet there's been a fire just in recent times, so that's kind of coincidental. But they're saying it's nothing dodgy. I mean, we're being in Park Valley. Is there a lot of fires in that area? Is there a lot of fires in Montello? That's what you got. That's what you got to ask yourself. And you could say, what's so significant about a fire? Well, is it yet another crime-related thing? Another crime activity going on? People just going around burning things down? You know, if that's the case, then maybe you need to look into that. See who's responsible. Is there any attachments, links to people who might be caught up in the Dylan Rounds case, or associates who may know of people doing that, who just so happen to be involved in the Dylan Rounds case right now? James Brenner, Chase Venstra at a point in time, Don Hatley, Robert Avalez, those people. They might have other contacts, other people who are causing these fires. As said on screen, this one isn't seen as criminal, but another one might be. You know, in Montello, the whole trailer being burnt down, Jim Brenner, that was accidental. Other people saying it wasn't. So it's just trying to understand, you know, okay, it's a dry place. You know, it's dry, it's hot, it's warm, so maybe things are easier to catch fire than if you was in a wet, moist place. Very damp, very wet. You know, you try setting a light, something, probably not going to work as well. So it's just all these like little things you need to take in mind. Is there anything else up here? No, that seems to be it. So as you saw when scrolling up, aside from June, July, whatever, you saw nothing about the Jim Brenner trailer investigation, nor anything else in recent time. They've been quiet, haven't they? And, you know, it kind of makes sense because of what's gone on. And the reason why it makes sense is because, like, with, you know, Box Elder County being exposed for their incompetence, lack of professionalism and all that by the family and, you know, the people here and there, they want to keep a low profile. Like when, I think it might have been Fox 13 News or ABC4 Utah on YouTube, when one of the reporters, forgot his name, I think he was a Mexican or something, bit of a dodgy moustache, came in and said how we've tried reaching out to representatives or the press of Box Elder County or something, and no response. Candice sending out emails to them, no response. So they've been keeping, you know, low profile. And it's because, you know, they might be embarrassed or they want to reduce that heat level. And the only way to reduce it is by just not talking about anything or anything related to Dylan Rounds. And that seems to be the case. I mean, they've still been active on the Facebook page with other non-related stuff. So that makes sense, that, because if someone or something is caught up in like a scandal, controversy, being exposed, bad things going on, sometimes if you respond and speak out, you could be seen as defensive, aggressive, bit dodgy. You know, if you're defensive, maybe you're hiding something. People that keep completely quiet are seen as suspicious because they're seen as, oh, they're being rumbled, they're trying to run away, escape. They know themselves that they're guilty, that they've done wrong, and they are like almost like playing hide and seek because they don't want to get questioned or anything like that. But then the people that are in the middle, who keep a low profile regarding a certain theme, topic, discussion, case, whatever it might be, but still maintain activity covering other important stuff, they're seen as less suspicious. Perfect example is like on YouTube. You have a popular YouTuber covering a certain theme or topic, a series, a game, a walkthrough, whatever. They get exposed for it. And instead of running away and being inactive for the next 11 months, instead of replying back and being accused of being toxic, they change the course of direction of what they're covering. They move on to a different game. They move on to a different topic, theme, news report. They do other stuff. In the eyes of the general public, they'll be like, oh, look at that person. They're showing resilience, standing above all the hate and negativity. They're so positive. Oh, they're such a role model. Oh, they're doing so well, keeping on going despite all the negativity and all the accusations, and yet they're still continuing. So they must be innocent in a way. That's how some people can interpret it. So sometimes being in the middle is the best position, and I guess Box Elder County have demonstrated that with an active Facebook page, but covering different cases or different news, whilst forgetting about Dylan, online at least. So I think that summarises it all. Main part of this was the whole situation with Candice, the sheriff and the sheriff's wife. Leave your thoughts down below. If you have any additional information, key points, questions or theories, feel free to drop them down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.